From ABC News, World News Saturday, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. President Bush is in the People's Republic of China tonight, where this weekend he will try to bolster U.S. relations with the Chinese Communist government. Finally tonight, President Bush is on his 5th trip to China since he served as special U.S. envoy to that country in 1974 and 75. And as we saw earlier, he and Mrs. Bush are clearly happy to be back. But what they're seeing now is hardly the China they remember. As Jim Laurie reports from Beijing, in a number of important ways, today's China is new, improved, and a lot more American.
Some things here never change. But most things do. Tai Chi to disco. George Bush wouldn't have seen this when he lived here 14 years ago, or even as a visitor a few years back. China has traveled 1,000 miles and changed in 100 ways. From Beijing's exploding skyline, to fashions, hair and makeup, and art of the most abstract kind. Shooting pool and gambling. A few years ago, this could have landed you in a labor camp. And a more open China has gambled, too, on foreign investment and Colonel Sanders. Chinese in the cities have adopted American tastes, American ways. From Mao to Madison Avenue, television promotes Kodak and Nabisco. American taste, I love it, he says. And for the lives of most Chinese here, there have been definite improvements.
When Mr. Bush was here at the end of the Cultural Revolution, at the time I was still in the countryside doing manual work.
Those were the days when intellectuals were sent to the communes to prove their faith in Chairman Mao. Today the communes are gone, and rural China's 800 million people live on their own farms, each farmer with at least a 15-year lease to farm the way he wants. And in the cities, Chinese entrepreneurs are getting rich, private business still booming. Even a Communist Party member can own a grocery store.
They accuse me of being a capitalist because I earn 20 times what the ordinary worker here makes. But I reject that. I'm entitled to the money. The old egalitarian idea is no longer correct.
While the average Chinese earns the equivalent of $300 a year, Mrs. Guan gets $12,000 by running a half-dozen former state stores that had been losing money. Party purists objected, but Mrs. Guan kept her money and her stores. China's bold economic reforms have radically changed people's lives here. But there have also been unpleasant spin-offs, baffling the communist leadership and scaring the people. The biggest one, inflation, officially put at 18% last year. Some say it's more than 50%. Complaints about high prices have caused China's leadership to backtrack on reforms.
They definitely should be cautious about prices. Price affects everybody's life directly, and therefore affects the political momentum for the reforms.
As a result, China today is confused, neither as bold nor experimental as it was a few years ago.
It is those people that argue we should pull back a little bit that is winning the battle.
Reforming a communist system is not proving easy. Like bicycles weaving through a crowded street, reform here will move ahead with zigzags, stops and starts along the way, but still a far cry from the China George Bush knew 14 years ago. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Beijing.